company men, after this journey that you went through, you have released this book, A Wellness Guide for Black Men in Corporate America. You know, for me, who's not in corporate America, I'm an educator, but it was still a lot of it really resonated with me. The health concerns, a lot of the stresses that you talked about, a lot of the situations you can find yourself in that you want to avoid, ways to kind of just deal and cope and make sure you stay healthy and make sure you enjoy the fruits of your labor, stuff like that. So, yeah, I think a lot of it is relevant to a lot of Black men in a lot of different professions. And I just want to give you a chance to speak on some of those ideas and kind of what was your inspiration for writing the book in the first place?
Yeah, I appreciate that question, Will. And, the journey to me writing this book, it's a tremendous undertaking to write a book, right? You have to be committed to an idea and then you have to fall into a nice rhythm of expounding on that idea. You're a writer, you understand this, the level of commitment that it takes. But, the catalyst for me going on that journey was the death of my uncle, Juan Simpson. The book is dedicated to him. He was my hero. I don't know if you remember the Death of Superman comic in 1994. I was a big Superman head. And, when that comic came out, it was devastating. I was like, wait, Superman can't die. I just bought the 30-year anniversary edition. Actually, somebody gave it to me for Christmas. It was traumatic reading that comic. And my uncle was Superman for me. And when he died, it was as if Superman died. My uncle was fit. He was handsome. He looked so much like Denzel that my aunt was on Broadway, my uncle's sister. Before Denzel blew up, he asked my aunt out on a date. And she turned him down because he reminded my aunt too much of my uncle. That's how handsome my Uncle Juan was. And I was devastated, and I was trying to make sense of it. He was the CFO for Ethicon Endosurgery, Inc. That's one of Johnson & Johnson's surgical instruments companies. And that was back in 2002. So I've been trying to work this out for 23 years, and maybe genetics was part of it. Scientists will tell you genes are not necessarily your destiny, though. And, I wanted to understand, what was he going through? What might have caused this? And then I entered corporate America 4 years after he died. I land my first job, and I'm greeted with a senior leader who said to me straight up in the interview after they gave me a shot. He said, "Look, there's a lot of skepticism about you, about whether you can do this job," and that did not fill me with confidence. I'd like to sit here and tell you that I was motivated. Yeah, I'm gonna prove these people wrong. I entered my career in corporate America very scared. I was scared. And, it was an existential fear that came out of the reality that I got to make this work. I don't have a fallback. If I fail at this job, am I going to land another one? If I fail at this job, I'm going to have to go move back into my childhood bedroom in my mom's, second floor walk-up apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment. I don't want to be a grown man living with my mom in that apartment. I want to, build a career. I want to grow some wealth. I want to build a life. And so, I entered my career not in a place of psychological safety, because the best companies, they make their employees feel psychologically safe because that's a requirement to do the best job you can so that they can get the most out of your talent. So for me, I was starting with fear from day one, and I'm looking over the back of my shoulder, and then you hear that they're skeptical of you. So now I'm afraid to step out of my shell socially in that place. And it was not a diverse newsroom. And that's a whole nother discussion. It was not very diverse, but I'm not feeling safe psychologically. And now I'm in this newsroom where there's not many people that look like me. I got a tough job. So I started to develop some anxiety. And that anxiety turned into acid reflux. And, at the time, I wasn't able to put words to what I'm going through. When you're going through stuff, you're just trying to survive on a day-to-day basis. But then I got some distance from that experience, and time went on, and I'm still thinking about my uncle. And then I start talking to other Black men I interviewed dozens of Black men for this project. And come to find out, many of us are undergoing this stress. And then I come across some data. I live in data, right? And the data tells us that the higher Black men climb the socioeconomic ladder, the greater the likelihood that we will suffer from anxiety and depression. And there's a direct tie-in to your mental health and your physical health. We have the second lowest life expectancy of any demographic in this country. And then I start seeing these things happen. There's a brother that I work with. I used to work with. He just passed away in January, 45 years old, managing director at a major U.S. firm, heart, left behind 2 children. He was killing it financially. He was somebody that we all admired, but that's lost work. That's lost wealth. Why did he die so young like my uncle? There's another brother that I worked with, became the CIO of a major U.S. bank, lands the big job, suffers a stroke at the age of 47, debilitating stroke, right? That's going to affect his long-term life expectancy. 2 weeks ago, Will, another brother that lives in my area. There's a lot of well-to-do Black people in South Orange, Maplewood, West Orange, Orange, New Jersey. He works for an NBA team as a creative, suffers a stroke, not even 40 yet. Last week he had his second surgery to stop bleeding in his brain. And I can go on and on. I give many more examples in the book of folks that, were dealing with those things. I dealt with even more stress-related stuff. So then I started seeing this connection between work stress and the effect on our bodies. And here's the kicker, too. The stress of corporate America is universal to everybody that works in corporate America. We live with mass layoffs, reorgs. You have to be comfortable with ambiguity, right? There's this illusion of stability when you're corporate America that, that check's going to come every 2 weeks. That's an illusion. The ground is always shifting beneath your feet. And if you're part of this millennial generation, then you already know you started your career just as the global financial crisis was kicking off. So that anxiety is universal. The office politics is universal. The palace intrigue, the coworker that heats up stinky fish that ruins the aromatic experience of being in the office. I mean, all of it. And in assessing the data and in assessing the stories that were told to me, I've come to the realization that as Black men, we have to recognize that some of these stresses might hit our bodies a little bit differently than our peers, right? We're at a higher risk of hypertension. We're at a higher risk of type 2 diabetes and all sorts of conditions. And, you can't necessarily exercise away this stress. And then the history is tough. And I'm going to let you hop in with your thoughts because I would love your perspective on this. But the other piece, Will, is as Black people, for good reason, we don't trust the medical system. And so a lot of us don't go to the doctor. A lot of men don't go to the doctor in general. It's even worse for Black men. And I'm trying to use this book. Chapter 1 is about physical health. I get into other dimensions of wellness, but I start with physical health because we are bodies. You are a body. I am a body. We have to take care of this body. And this world, this society sees us as larger and more aggressive than others. It puts our life in danger when we're dealing with police and with others, but we're probably among the most vulnerable people. The data tells us that. And so I'm trying to use this as a call to action to us. We got to take special care of ourselves. Let's get those medical appointments once a year. Let's do that. Let's understand that there are layers to this human experience, right? There's a physical layer that has to be cared for. There's a mental layer that has to be cared for. Black people, we're very religious people in this country, but you can't pray away for mental health. You can't pray for that. You have to actually seek specialized help in that area. The spiritual dimension, that's another thing. But I'm trying to use this as a call to action because our communities need us, brother. We can't be dying we can't have the second lowest life expectancy. Only our brothers from the Native American, Alaska Native population are living shorter lives. I want us talking about these things.
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely talked about a lot of what you were saying on the show. It's it's devastating, you know, to see these issues, these medical issues arise in Black men, and it's crazy because on the one hand you see those medical issues arise in Black men, and then you see some of the violence and the killing that goes on with younger Black boys.
Yes,
Like it's
brother.
like we're getting it from both sides sometimes, you know. And yeah, so I mean, anyways, that was just a random thought that came up, but I guess my initial reaction to what you were talking about there is, first of all, that's amazing that you've decided to dedicate yourself to making this clarion call. That's amazing. We need that. We need people to speak out about the issues and let people know that we understand that they're going through a stressful environment if you're in corporate America, right? It is a stressful time. And like you said, the stress isn't hitting everybody the same. And probably in that environment, I'm sure actually nobody really cares about that. You know, like regardless of how the stress is hitting you, you're expected to perform.
That's right.
And that was a theme kind of throughout your book of people talking about that stress of performance or focusing on performance heavily, right? And that's something that you're rewarded for financially in corporate America. And, you know, I would say that the way that people are talking about employment at this point, it's something that kind of spans across many different sectors, actually. So, yes, taking care of yourself. I always say that life is all we have, you know, and we don't have life without a body. So
That's right, brother.
you're exactly right. And, you know, I had to take that advice on for myself, right? Because I was somebody who's had a lot of negative experiences going to doctors, um, doctors who literally wouldn't examine me. Like, I've had doctors who just kind of ordered tests over and over and over, uh, pointless tests, you know, just to like
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
awful.
Yeah. My brother, my late brother who passed away, he was in an emergency medical situation and the doctor asked him if he had any knives on him. So yeah, things like this have occurred. We've all the men in my family have endured a situation like that. My dad was in a bicycle accident and they wouldn't give him pain medication. You know, like just literally all of us have stories.
It's good
Um,
reason. It's good reason for us to not trust, brother.
yeah. So, but you're exactly right. I had to learn, you know, especially as I'm getting older. I had to be like, okay, got to take this seriously. You know, I want to be here. You know, I want to live this life, this one life I've been given, right? So, got to take care of the body. I just went swimming today, 60 lengths, you know, get in
My
there.
God.
And, you know, I'm vegan, plant based diet, you know, and just trying to make sure that I stay on the up and up, you know.
Same
And
here. I'm with that vegan plant based too.
yeah,
Not because I didn't love ribs, but like it keeps me off of the Lipitor, man.
100%. Yeah, and I'm still on cholesterol medication myself, and
Yeah.
so I'm hoping to get off of that. You know, I was actually all of you, everything was resonating with me because earlier today I was rescheduling an appointment for my doctor, and because they scheduled me in the middle of me teaching a virtual class, and I need to get some blood work done, and I'm hoping that when I come, that you know those results are going to reflect the work that I've been doing, you know. So actually your story in the book about somebody experiencing something very similar and yourself
Yeah.
experiencing it
Yeah.
really resonated with me, you know. So thanks for sharing that message with us about health.
I
Um,
appreciate you, man. I really do.
Thanks for watching. For access to the full length conversation and all of the 2-hour long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support and see you next time.